Good morning. Morning in the living room. Come on in. About to get started. Thanks for being here, everyone. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm that no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we're so glad that you're with us. If you are visiting with us today, please sign our visitors book in the living room, and we'd love for you to join us for coffee downstairs after the service, and feel free to take a green mug to distinguish yourselves so we can greet you and welcome you. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. I remembered mine today. If you need a new name tag, you can request one in the living room. I am Tony Metters. My pronouns are he and him. I'm pleased to be with you as your worship associate. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Passman. And the celebration singers directed by Julia Beckman, so that'll be fun. Yeah. We'd like to thank you for placing your phone in the worship mode. There's going to be plenty of audible going on today, so we don't need your rings and beeps. But please feel free to check in online, take photos, post them, let folks know you're worshiping here with us today. Childcare for children under age of 5 is available in our playroom located across the way in the lower level of the RE building. Youngsters are welcome to join the play group when the older children are sung out to go to RE. Please know that all ages may remain in the service. All voices are welcome here. Church life. There's a lot going on, as we know. News and notes. I love getting that every Friday because then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to church Sunday. So it arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there's copies downstairs, there's copies downstairs. If you are not receiving news and notes and you'd like to, please sign up in the living room. We can get that taken care of. We're going to have an announcement from Chris, I believe.
Good morning, everyone. I see that you are all in the sanctuary today, and hopefully you are all in on our pledge campaign, which officially starts today. And I know you've been all barraged by snail mail, email, the notes, news and notes announcement then too about the start of it today then too, and I know we'll hear a nice testimonial about what this church means to all of us, and we have gotten a great start to the campaigns, pledge form turn-in so far. So as we go through this in the next 2 weeks, we hope that you can contribute or make a pledge to any amount that you can. And we are so grateful that you're here. And with that, I will turn it over to Reverend Beth.
Thank you so much, Chris and Tony, and hello to everyone. I want to add my welcome to that of Tony's. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she and they, and it is good to be with you on this warm Sunday. First Sunday of March. I mean, it was cold, then it's warm. I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad to be here with our colorful choir and with all of you. Indeed, this is a time in our congregational life, for those of you who are visiting, where we actively consider what the congregation means to us. And so you're going to hear a little bit more about that later in the service. We're all in, like Chris said, in the building, but we're all in to the opportunity to share just this time together. Each of you are welcome, whoever you are. We begin our service by acknowledging that we in the western suburbs inhabit the areas that are the traditional territories of the indigenous peoples, including Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, and many others, whose names have been forgotten. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and legacy of colonialism and the harm done to Native peoples, and also to work to repair that harm. And so it is that you are welcome here, as you heard in the opening, no matter who you are. Our opening song is adapted from the poet Rumi, the Sufi poet Rumi, who was a Muslim. The song is, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come." There are other translations of this. This was done by a UU minister, Lynn Unger. There is kind of a descant that we don't sing here that goes, "Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times." I love that descant because what it says, and what the what other translations of the poem say, is that if you've really strayed, if you've really gone wild, you heretic, you remember, heretic simply means to choose, then come, yet again come. And I love it for congregational life because it brings us back and back and back. So in a moment, I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing together. If anybody knows the descant, they can do it. And I think we'll do it through about 3 times. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me. Beautifully done. And call us into worship this morning with words by the Reverend Marta I. Valentin. She's the Professional Development Director in the Ministry and Faith Development Group of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Before we hear Reverend Valentin's words, I invite you to just take a breath with me and arrive. We come today to honor the universal community of seekers to which we belong. We gather today to share from our deepest places of safety that we might nurture ourselves by celebrating one another. We call into our presence this hour our ancestors, whose love, labor, and commitment made it possible for us to be here now. Let us call one another to the table of abundance, that we may feed on those fruits that sustain and ever ask us to grow. Let us open our hearts to this moment with hearts that have no borders, no fronteras. So the song that we're about to sing right now is a little bit new to us, but it's really a joyful welcome and an expression of why we're here. This is called I'm So Glad I'm Here, and we've been doing some zipper songs lately, and this is another zipper song, kind of, sort of. The words change a little bit. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit again, and I'm going to invite you to sing with me. Okay. We had a little bit of miscommunication, so. Okay, can you do it? Oh, okay. I'm so glad I'm here, so glad I'm here, so glad I'm here today. I'm so glad I'm here, I'm so glad I'm here, I'm so glad I'm here today. Gonna sing while I'm here, gonna sing while I'm here, sing while I'm here today. Gonna sing while I'm here, gonna sing while I'm here, gonna sing while I'm here today. Love brought me here, love brought me here, love brought me here This is why I love you. Among many other reasons, beautifully done, great save. Go ahead, Tony.
I invite you to join me in our chalice lighting words. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Beautiful. Invite up Pam Fodor, our Director of Programs, to share a story for us.
That you have to use your imagination, but oops.
Do you want to change to the other tree, or do you want me to do it?
Oh, you whenever you want. Okay. The story is about a tree. So here's a tree that you can look at if you want, or you can close your eyes and imagine your own tree. Now this tree is special. It stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. And its fruit was juicy and sweet and plentiful. The people of the village loved this tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they would come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing. And elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be recounted on when they were near this great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Now, animals love this tree too. Rabbits lived in the burrows under the roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree buzzed with life. Now, one day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of the delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible! I would like to have some to sell in the next village that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well, then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick this fruit." "Wait, I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take a turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want, and the tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive so much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think that this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous." Replied the villager, "The tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You are confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk it through with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. And as the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town without fruit, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person that he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us. And I also want to point out that I am standing under blessed be. I invite the young and young at heart to come over to the other building with me.
We gather each week to affirm our community, to affirm that together we are more than we would ever be alone. We gather knowing that we will be seen, heard, and known, and offer that to all who would find companionship with us. We can gather to be transformed and to help transform this world toward greater love, justice, and hope. We share our offering as a living out of our values and as the spiritual practice of stewardship. This time of year, we set aside to pause to consider what this church means to us, to pledge our support for the mission of the congregation, to plan for the coming year, how we will live our values within these walls and outside of these walls. As we have been saying for the past few weeks, we are all in. We are invested in the church mission. We are involved in its work. We are interested in each other's stories. We are inspired to bring our work into the world. And you knew that was coming. You are invited to share what you can as we journey together in love. I invite you to share in these offering words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with the world. We now gratefully receive your contribution. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
Breathe. Breathe. There's really an invitation, not a command. But I invite you to breathe with me. And just allow yourself to settle into the chair. Feeling your back on the chair, your feet on the floor. Just after words, songs, breathe. This is a time in the service to arrive to this time, to this place, with these people for this moment. A unique moment, a unique configuration of people that will never happen again. There will be more with us. There will be some who we lose. We breathe into this time of connection, of possibility, knowing that we bring with us joys and sorrows, lostness and longing, celebrations, wonderings, hearts broken open with sadness or with joy. Just breathe. Breathe into it all. Whether you've been here for decades or have just come to us today, know that the breath connects you to all that ever was. All the breathing beings since the beginning of this earth time. Breathing in and out in this moment, this unique moment, the breath connects us each to each and to all. Breathing out, the breath makes us ancestors for those who will come. In a time when life is calling to life, life's calling, and life calls us on. Life calls us in this moment to be present to what is life's calling. What is life calling you to in this moment? And just make space for that. Breathe. Invite the breath, whatever is holy to you, into your body, into your space, into this time. We invite the spirit of life, the spirit of love, the spirit of all that is, to ground us, to hold us close, that we may be set free, to bring love, compassion, and joy into this world. Breathe. And now I invite you to sing with me. It's number 123 in your gray hymnal if you need it. Each week, most weeks, we set aside time to continue the meditation of presence, the meditation of introspection, the meditation of being with what is and knowing that in community we are indeed more than we would be alone, knowing that in community we can be seen and heard and known in the fullness of who we are. This is a time furthering our meditation, furthering our opportunity to center in, to ground, into those roots, and then to allow what comes up to be what it is that you brought with you today, a joy or a sorrow. The way that we do that is we have pebbles, each one is unique, signifying the uniqueness that we each are. And you can drop a pebble in silence if you have a joy or a sorrow that you simply want witnessed. If you have something that you would like witnessed by your words, you can come up and you'll make a line here. So we're going to move that. And we're a little crowded here. And then in a word or a phrase, share your joy or sorrow. So if you have something you'd like to share with us, I invite you to come forward.
wanted to give a shout out to my son Sean's TV class. They submitted a video to the state and it won. And now it might possibly get an Emmy.
Thank you.
I'm Carol, and I had a most unusual joy this week. I got a text on Thursday that my sister's grandson, I'm very mixed up about this, was going to be stopping to see me with his wife and 3 children. My sister's family has been for a long time involved in a very strange church under a Reverend Branham, who at one time preached as much as Billy help me, Billy Graham, and this has been part of our differences. We were really so different in so many ways, but I said yes, please come. So he came with his wife and his 3 small children. The women have to wear long dresses. They can't cut their hair. And well, you can look it up, Brother Branham. Anyway, it was absolutely wonderful. We went through the house. They took half of my teddy bear collection. His wife went through the library and took 4 boxes of books. And I was able to give a number of other things to them. And then we went to the Arboretum the next day, which was wonderful, wonderful day with everyone there. And it just made me realize that families are families, even if they're kind of strange.
For those suffering from war, occupation, and genocide, for those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us in our joys and in our sorrows, in the unexpected, in the celebrations, and in the sorrows. We pause, holding all that's been heard and all that is held in hearts. As we move through this week, as we move through our days, may we remember who and whose we are, connected each to each, and all to all, sustaining one another and sustaining hope and life. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. As we consider the meaning of community, the power of community, what it means to be in community, and what community means to us, at this time of the year, we hear from various members about what it is that feeds their soul, how they, are sustained by this congregation and how they sustain this congregation. So I am going to invite up Dave Lloyd to share with us.
Thank you, Beth. I was trying to come up with something to talk about. You know, we've been members here for a good number of years, and we know lots of people. And I wanted to have something that was inspirational, inherently fascinating, maybe some intensely personal stories. Indeed. But I was sort of indolent during the week and didn't spend a lot of time. So late in the week, I could think of, like, I don't know, the index of banned books at the Vatican, or the Interstate Commerce Clause, the inadmissibility of certain evidence, the indicia of fraud under the Illinois Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. But any of those would be incomprehensible. I was really feeling incompetent at coming up with something. But then yesterday, I was at a habitat restoration workday in the woods, Bemis Woods, first Saturday of every month. And we had a group of people there, and at break time, there were all these conversations going on. And one set of people were talking about migrants, and it turned out that two of the people there, completely coincidentally, are at the two churches in Riverside who are sponsoring a migrant family. And so I introduced them to each other, and that was great. And then over here, there's a conversation about the downfall of capitalism, or the difficulties of capitalism. And part of that discussion was, here we are in nature and enjoying nature and getting into the natural flow of the rhythms of nature. And capitalism is set up to separate humans from nature as much as possible, so that we concentrate on our own things, and we don't have all this this feeling of being part of the flow of nature. Everything's separate, everything's compartmentalized, so that we're more productive and get more stuff. And the message there is, you buy things and that makes you happy. And you work harder so you can have more money to buy more things. And if your harder work makes you unhappy, don't worry, you can buy more stuff. And that works really well. And somebody suggested there's this, and we couldn't think of the word, but it's like the reverse, the slowing down of the economy. If you work less, you'll have less money. You won't be able to buy as much stuff, but you won't be as miserable, so you won't have to buy as much stuff. And this whole thing of, if you just buy more things, the newest thing and the biggest thing, and fill your house with more stuff, you'll be happier. And I thought, this being in nature and attending to, whether it's out in the woods, in your own yard, walking on a sidewalk, and noticing that right now the buds are coming out early this year. And little green things, and we'll have insects, and we'll have cicadas this year. And that's the antidote to that hyper-capitalism. I stay there because we have a fire, and I've got to watch the fire and make sure the woods don't burn down. So I have time to myself, and I thought, you know, that's this church. There's often a lot of discussion about whether a church should be an oasis or a beacon. An oasis, a time to get away from, a refuge from everything in the world, a time to have quiet and meditation, and you might learn some things and consider some things. Be by yourself, but not by yourself. And the other view is, a church should be a beacon of light, of hope and justice and power. And this discussion we had yesterday, we're talking about a refuge from capitalism. We're talking about how to address crisis of people coming over the border. This church is both. We come here, and it's a refuge from everything that stresses us and makes us less than human. And yet, we can do things about it because we're all here. And we all, as a beacon in this church, go out and do stuff. That's why this church needs to reach more people all the time.
Singers are going to sing something that's usually "We Are One." Today we're all in together.
Jamie, can I get an amen? Yes, you could do better than that. Can I get an amen, y'all? We're in. I'm in. You know, when it was suggested to change from all we are one to all in, I'm like, yes. Because isn't being one meaning we're in? We're in, we are connected, and we know that we're meaning something a little bit different for our pledge drive. But when we move, when we sleep, when we rise, we are one, just like Dave was talking about. When we laugh and we sing and we cry and we run, or when we roll in the cold and the heat and the dark and the sun. And then the message is we shall love one another. We shall care for one another with our heart and our soul and all our might. What a message. And with our siblings we rise. And we must live together or we will die. We reach and climb and rise and fly. And then the next part of the song is these words will live forever. And we will teach them to our children and remember them in our lives as we laugh and cry and run and roll. And we know that we're strong and we know that we belong. What a message for this time. That we, all of us, humanity, and the rest of nature are one. That we are, in the words of Dr. King, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied to a single garment of destiny. What happens to one happens to all and affects each, even if indirectly. And we care for one another. This is the blessing, this is the power, this is the challenge, and this is the joy of community. When we are in this together, then that includes everyone. Like Dave, who was interested in investing so many ins in his talk. Could you tell he's a lawyer, y'all? I love our N words. We're in. It includes everyone, no matter who you are, whether you've been here forever. Well, probably not since, 1889, Ron, but been here for a long time, or just came. Not implying that you were here that long. Uh-oh, I'm gonna be in trouble. But that's the message of the story today as well. In the time when those precious trees, the earth herself, are seen as commodities. The people of the village are taking care of the tree is taking care of them in recognition of their interdependence, and they are sustained by the tree of life. They lived their commitment to care for one another and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. Grace. Unbidden, uncalled for, sneak up on you grace, which brings us to gratitude. And they give the merchants the gift of understanding interdependence, another way of seeing the world around us, not as the earth, not as externality, but as a part of who we are, as we are part of her. And also the power of community. I love sustaining the tree of life as a metaphor for sustaining and building the beloved community, the not yet always coming into being community of justice and love that Dr. King called us to. And the tree of life is a powerful symbol across cultures. It holds importance for communities, like in our story. When the Irish Celts formed a new community, they planted a tree right at its center, and it was called the Tree of Life. I practice the Irish, and I can't say it. Sorry, I would if I could. Trees were vital to daily life. They saw the trees as like the villagers' part of their community. Again, dependent on the tree for food and shelter and heat. The trees were home for the wildlife and a gathering place. Trees are a spiritual link to the earth, and they reach to the heavens. The tree of life is a symbol of strength and wisdom and endurance. And y'all, this is the tree of life right here that the people who at one time deciding they wanted to bring art into our sanctuary said, probably were sitting around going, what should we do? Said, how about a tree of life? And we're sitting under a tree of life. We are part of that tree of life. So what a perfect message that we heard from Pam and that we heard from Dave. That we do the work of nurturing minds, bodies, and spirits. And our mission statement affirms that. It says, basically, with a couple of word changes, we are a welcoming, caring community celebrating and living Unitarian Universalist values. We share creative worship, vibrant religious education, and a commitment to a just world. We inspire. Can I just tell you that spell check always wanted to make that N lowercase, so I had to go back and put in my text all these I capital N's. We inspire spiritual exploration and personal growth, appreciation and embodiment of diversity, courageous and compassionate action. As I revisited the mission statement, I see how well it aligns with the values that you identified last year as we did our startup weekend, and we looked at how we want to live our values, evolve our church, adapt to a world that needs us sorely, and develop a way forward. Spiritual development, community, social action, religious education. Our congregational covenant also reminds us that as well. We promise to listen and learn together with compassion, curiosity, and an open mind. Engage in creating a warm and welcoming community. We work together beyond our walls to address social and environmental challenges. And just this week, we received an email from the Unitarian Universalist Association, Office of LGBTQ and Diversity, acknowledging that we, as a Unitarian Church of Hinsdale, have completed the process of our welcoming renewal. For those of you who are new, a welcoming congregation in the Unitarian Universalist Association means that we affirm and commit to welcome and justice for our LGBTQ members and anyone who joins us. So we completed that, and we have a beautiful certificate. So congratulations, congregation, for the 5 pillars. Great job. We work together beyond our walls to address social and environmental challenges with our time, our talent, and our treasures. We support our church and its mission. When we say, beloveds, that we are in this together, this is what we are into and in for as we do the joyful work of living our values right here, right now, and in the wider world. It's not an aspiration. It's an inspiration. It means, yes, more inwards. Involvement, investment, inclusion. We sustain the tree of life. We sustain this community. Our roots ground us, growing deep and deep over all these years. And new roots come as new people come. And as we grow, roots continue to grow. Roots continue to go deep. That provides the nurturance for the spread and reach into the wider community and the world. I think of the roots as grounding us as our congregation, as Unitarian Universalists, as we live into the values and promise of our faith. We gather in communities to support one another in our search for truth and meaning, and we create what UU theologian Sharon Welch, whom I've quoted recently, calls alternate socialities. It's really basically what Dave described in his remarks. Alternate socialities, another way of being, communities of resistance and solidarity. Spaces of open inclusivity where our diverse perspectives are engaged and celebrated as opportunities to weave a rich, colorful web grounded in our UU values. Margaret Wheatley, a Buddhist and author, wrote, "There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask what is possible, not what's wrong. Keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share your dreams. Be brave to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember that you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change your world. Rely on human goodness." And she ends, "Stay together." We as a congregation are doing that work, the staff, leaders, all of you, gathering community to sustain and broaden the vision of this church in a changing world. I was so moved last week by the leaders of the social justice teams sharing their visions. One of the things that I love about church is watching people gather. You know that, because I say it almost every week. Whether on Sunday morning when I watch you come, the choir's rehearsing, people are coming. If I'm walking from one building to the next and I see people kind of rushing or carrying things for the brunch, social hour, the buzz in that room, for some activities that build our community, showing up for meetings. I know, I do love me a good, generative, joyful meeting, in person or on Zoom. As I so often say, you could be anywhere, but you choose to be here at this church with these people in this time in our country and in our world. In these times, with all of its challenges and all of its possibilities, I believe in church. I believe that gathering together in religious community matters, and apparently, so do you. This is the time of our stewardship drive. But stewardship is not a season. It is an ongoing spiritual practice. It can be understood as the moral use of our resources. It is how we embody the values in very concrete ways. One of the 6 values lifted up in Article 2 in the bylaw revision we're looking at is that of generosity. It says we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Faith, presence, resources. I personally love that faith is first. We gather to share our faith with one another, with the community, with the wider world, to cultivate our faith, to grapple with our faith, to articulate what our faith means to us, knowing that each of us may have different beliefs, but we are grounded in the promise to journey together in the ways of love. Presence. You share your presence by showing up on Sundays, by being present in the myriad ways that community allows and invites you to do so. And then resources. This is generally what's meant by stewardship: time, talents, treasures. Knowing that not all can give in the same way, but that in giving we can live our values of generosity. So I invite you, beloveds, to be all in, to give generously to our congregation, knowing that we all have various capacities, But we know that as we plan for our coming year and the work and the call ahead of us, as we've been through an exploration of who are we called to be, beloveds, in 2024, who are we called to be? Now, my church leaders will say this is for the church year 2024-2025. Just to geek out for a moment, our church year begins in July and ends in June. But in these coming times, this is a time to consider how we can support the work that we continue to do, to be that oasis, to be that beacon, to be both, and to ask, what does it mean to be in? Do you need to join a committee? No. Will people ask you to join a committee? Yes. No is a complete sentence, unless I take you to lunch. Sometimes we just need to come and be, and that's okay too. My last church, there was a fabulous young woman who would come just as the service started and leave just as we were doing the closing hymn for a year. And I'm like, oh, I'd really like to get to know her. That's who she was. It took her time. I dedicated her babies. She's a leader in the congregation. Take your time. Pace yourself, but be in whatever way that you can. And we know that that means financial. That means that we invite you to give to this congregation as generously as you can. And generously isn't an amount. My colleagues say that this is the sermon on the amount. Everybody, all these, yes, it's a thing with ministers, the sermon on the amounts. I am not going to give you an amount. That information is out there of what we need to sustain our church. Generosity is giving from our soul, from our heart, because something is meaningful to us. Because we know indeed, together, we're more than we could be alone. We know that by supporting this congregation, we support the spiritual development, the religious education of our children. Yes, I know we don't have as many kids as we did, but we have children who want and need to develop in their Unitarian Universalist values. We have an opportunity here in Hinsdale to fly our flags, to share our message, even knowing that we draw from people, 20 miles around? LaGrange, Western Springs, other places. But here is where we gather and we take it out to those different places. Talk to your neighbors. When they say, how's it going? What are you doing? Well, I'm great. I'm going to my church on Sunday. We're going to do this. We have our prison ministry that we're going to support. Our prison ministry, where we're going to write to prisoners. We got parole for elder parole in Illinois. Those people back there helped make it happen. Them. Those people. At that table. This is what we do, y'all. Some people have signed up for our transgender inclusion course, a 6 weeks course that we're doing with DuPage UU Church. Why are we doing that? Because Illinois is kind of sort of a safe state, but we want to make sure that we make it safer and that we open our hearts, our homes, our wallets. All of this requires that we support not only our congregation, but our association, the Unitarian Universalist Association that has invited us to side with love over and over again. So yes, the Sermon on the Mount. What amount allows you to feel good about participating? And like I said, it might not be a lot, and there's other places to serve. It's really an invitation Because as we're all in, then we make room for more and more people to be in. Reunion, a poem. One of the old ones stood up into the morning light and spoke to those who had come back to the river. Now we have come again to this place. My life apart from you is not as strong. Yes, I have danced, I have told stories at my own fire, I have sung well to all the directions. But when I am with you, my friends, I know better who it is in me that sings. But when I am with you, beloveds, I know better who it is in me that sings. It matters that you're here, and I am so glad you're here. I invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of its community, nor the fire of the commitment. These we share with our hearts, carry in our hearts, and share with all the world. And so we probably couldn't do this service without a couple of more songs, and we knew we couldn't do it, right, without Blue Boat Home. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with us. As we move from this place, as we move from this call, we carry with us the call of life. We carry with us the possibility of hope and justice and change. We carry with us the knowledge that we are not alone. You, beloveds, are not alone. And know this, that life calls us on. This song that we're going to sing is new to us. It's by Jason Shelton. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit. The choir's going to help us sing this, y'all. Ooh, Carol's going to help us sing it with a solo. And Darren's going to help us. All right, here we go.